Hey everybody, Locks here with Myro Electric, and today we're taking a look at the Rival 500. I've felt compelled to do a review on this because there are a number of other reviews online and nobody wants to mention the tremendously annoying mouse disconnect slash DPI slash terrible support issues going on with this mouse. So let me go ahead and throw that out there. I'll go into moderately more details on that later, but let's cover some other aspects about this mouse because, as the title suggests, I love it and I hate this mouse. So, high level on this review, this is going to be a little bit supplemental to some other reviews that you may watch online. I don't go into the DPI specs and all that sort of stuff. Anything that you're going to find in the box, I'm probably not going to cover. The clicking, the pressure, the sounds of the mouse, I'm not going to hit up that either. There's actually a guy who does all that stuff pretty well. That's really not my thing. This is going to be more of kind of my personal perspective of this mouse, and also kind of following along the evolution of mice that I kind of keep moving along through. I'm big into mice that have a lot of buttons on them. I came from a G600 into a Tyon and now into the Rival 500. So this mouse, what ultimately made me want to give it a shot were some shortcomings with my Tyon. I was using it in Doom 3, and there was this kind of awkward button thing on the side that was marketed for, I think, flight games, acceleration, deacceleration. I don't really know it. It really wasn't that useful. In Doom 3, I was using it to change weapons. That was about the only thing I could think of it, and it was awkward. I think I had the BFG to it, and I was just flopping it around all the time. I didn't like it. The Tyon kind of had a slipping problem with the bottom, since it didn't have grips on the side. The bottoms was kind of falling out, and I just felt like it was time to give something else a shot. And I happened to stumble upon this mouse online, and I was really kind of surprised at some of the features that it offered. I was happy to see something from SteelSeries because I've kind of always been a fan of their mouse pads and their marketing kind of strategy, or just kind of their look is pretty cool in my opinion. So let's talk about what they're marketing this mouse as first off. So they say this mouse is designed to function with the natural movements of your hand. So it's kind of going for this intuitive setup where everything is kind of focal around your thumb here. And to a good degree, I'd say that they've succeeded in that mission. I was interested in part because comparison to a Tyon, the Tyon had a little button very similar to this one here, which I became quite fond of. The Tyon, we use it for easy shift, but I really like that this mouse added an additional one here. So with this centralized positioning, it's actually quite easy to keep your hand in a pretty central location and hit different buttons. And I've seen other reviewers who will move their hand around all over the place, and I think that's kind of actually getting away from what the intent of this mouse is. So you'll find that this button here, which I often use for crouch, you can hit with the tip of your finger. This one here, if you just kind of lift your tip out, you can actually hit it with the base of your thumb, so you're not having to go back here. I mean, you could do that. It doesn't really make any sense in my opinion. This button up here, you can hit with the tip of your thumb. This is about the only button here on the side that I will put my thumb back for to press. This one up here, you can actually slide your thumb kind of up like that to hit it, or you can just go up and hit it that way. There's an additional button which requires a little bit more pressure here in the back. I'll find that sometimes I'll just kick my thumb back like that, but you could try and get pressure on it. I know it's difficult to see. You could try and get pressure on it right there by pressing it that way, but it does get a little bit, since these buttons go down so easy, when you're applying that additional pressure, it does feel like it wants to hit either of those two buttons. So this one, generally, I will flip back on that, but I don't use that button a whole lot. The button on top here, you'll find that you can actually hit that with the base part of your finger here. I'm trying to not get distracted because it's actually doing stuff on my computer. I'm just making sure I'm not formatting my hard drive. This button here requires additional pressure than all these buttons here, even more so I think than this button here. These two buttons are the same, so you can just click that quite pretty easily there. This one you can hit with the tip, and this one you can actually hit with kind of the base of your finger. So you're kind of doing this this action. And that's kind of a continuing theme you'll find throughout this mouse. Some buttons you're hitting like with the tip of your finger, then other ones you're hitting with more of this middle section of your hand. And I think that is really the goal of this mouse. Now you also have tilt wheel functionality, which I lost with the Tyon that I had with the G600, which I really liked. An additional plus with this mouse is the price. It's only $79, which is actually pretty fair, I'd consider, compared to a lot of gaming mice that are out there now. There is, I guess, in the higher price range, I've noticed now more kind of wireless mice. This is not a wireless mouse. I do not care for any kind of wireless functionality personally, so I'm not particularly scorned about that. I like that this has like rubbery grippies all freaking over it. It's very comfortable. I can pick it up with ease. That's pretty nice. The shape of this mouse is actually really nice. It fits very nicely in my hand. I noticed that since I started using it for really fine movements, I've started doing kind of this twist motion, which feels very natural. I did try a G502 there for a very brief amount of time, and I just didn't find it nearly as comfortable. That was really what I actually tried the G502 after this mouse because of some of the issues with this one. I didn't think I'd be into it, but comfort-wise, it just wasn't nearly as fit for my hand. So something else I like here is I think, as I mentioned, was SteelSeries. A little bit more refined marketing. They're not going after what I would consider to be kind of the Razer fan base, which is super kind of gimmicky, edgy gamer type stuff. They just have their simple logo there. Rawcat, as much as I like the functionality of a lot of their mice, I kind of thought that they were almost kind of worse or trying to be like Razer, the cat that was on their mice. I really wasn't a fan of, but I couldn't really hate them for that. I guess hitting on a feature here real quick. This little thing under here, which I never use, basically makes these buttons here so you won't accidentally press them if for whatever reason you wanted to do that. And somebody that used my mouse actually did complain about hitting those buttons on accident until I explained that, hey, this isn't a button right here. That is, but it requires an additional amount of pressure. So once I started applying pressure, distributing pressure there, they had no problems. But I guess, you can click that little feature on if you have a big, dumb idiot in your family with big fat fingers that wants to put their hand all over your mouse. So touching, I guess, on this area that's not a button here, that's actually the Game Sense functionality, which is sort of like, well, I'll say force feedback, but it's not force feedback like you would think for being submersed in the game. It's really specifically designed for alerts and notifications. So if a cooldown's ready or something like that, it will let you know. I'm using it in Overwatch. It doesn't have any kind of built-in inherent like support for it, but you can set it so like, oh, when I hit whatever key, it could be a key on your keyboard. When I hit that key after a certain time period, make the mouse rumble in a distinct fashion. So like after 3 seconds or something, the mouse would rumble, and it has additional properties for configuring that. Now it sounds really cool, and I think it could be useful in a lot of applications. For Overwatch, I found that kind of the idea of it, the concept of it, was a little bit more, was a little bit cooler than the practical application. Overwatch is so intense, and my cooldowns for all of Zarya's abilities are happening so frequently that I kind of didn't even notice the mouse rumbling, or it kind of became a hodgepodge of just my mouse feeling like it was buzzing all the time. But I think it's cool. There's no other mouse that's doing that. Really, where I applaud this mouse overall is in its kind of innovative areas, which, as you remember, I've actually praised Rawcat for quite a bit in the past, where they've kind of, in my opinion, slowed down on the innovative front a little bit. So the other bit that I'll touch on, which I was really surprised by, was the sensor in this one. I didn't know anything about the sensor going in. That actually wasn't an interest point or a selling point for me when I was getting it. It was only after I got it and I had played a few games, and I felt, I didn't even feel like I was aiming. It felt like I was possessed in certain games. And I had gone through great lengths with my Tyon to try and get my aim refined on that when I dumped my sensitivity way down in Overwatch to, I think, about 4.5 at 800 DPI. And once I got this mouse, I and of course, after watching the Spree game for a while, he's a high sensitivity player. I decided to up my sensitivity in Overwatch, I think up to about 6. And even after upping it, I was able to like really hone in and fine tune still and maintain that accuracy and control. So yeah, the sensor on this is really incredible, and was a great surprise. It actually made me kind of feel like an idiot for not paying attention to mouse sensors for a number of years now. I've just kind of, I guess in my mind, I chalked up that a lot of the sensors were kind of the same. There wasn't a whole lot of distinction, that technology had kind of bridged the gap. But anyway, this is an optical sensor, and one of the best on the market right now. Same what's in the G502 pretty much. And on that note, the Tyon, the shell of the Roccat Tyon, is actually being built into a newer mouse called the Roccat Leader, which uses the sensor that's in here, a refined version of it, they say, and it has wireless capabilities. Unfortunately, that mouse looks like it still has the same stupid thing on the side, which I never used. But if you're a Roccat Tyon fan and you're looking for more refined aiming, then you might go that route. So let's get on to the hate portion. As the title says in this video, I have a love-hate relationship with this mouse. So let's get on to some of the cons. No shift mapping. You know, if you've used Roccat mice before, you know that you can hold down on a button here, and for example, if you programmed it that way, you could hold down on a button and it would change all the other functions on the mouse until you release that button, then those functions are restored. There's no kind of functionality like that on here. You can hit a button and it will change other mappings, and then hit it back or toggle. Basically, profile change functionality, standard stuff, is about the only option here. Not a big problem, but worth noting for me anyway. The biggest problem with this mouse, and one that hasn't been covered to any degree from which I can tell online, are the mouse lockups. And when I say online, I guess I should specifically say YouTube. It's all over Reddit. This mouse locks up. I don't know why. It locks up on this computer. It's frozen. I actually have 2 of them. It's frozen on my computer at work. It's well known. SteelSeries is finally acknowledging it. And that's really, man, that's opening a can of worms I don't even want to go on to here. I mean, I got so disgusted with the problems with this mouse that I kind of dished it off into Amanda. I told her all the different issues I had since the purchase of the mouse. She kind of piled it all into this document and posted it up on SteelSeries Facebook page. And ultimately, they got back with me and they refunded the cost of one of the mice that I bought. I don't know if that was in part because I was like, man, I'm a YouTuber, you know, I'm going to give you a bad review. I don't know if it was anything like that. But ultimately, that's what they did. The guy that I worked with in customer support was actually pretty cool. But, you know, I don't know if other people are as fortunate as I was in that regard. And still, I'm being tormented by this freaking mouse because it will just crap out when I'm playing Overwatch. And if it doesn't completely shit out, it has these random DPI changes. So if I swipe like too fast, sometimes like it won't do it for like a week. Other times it will just do it whenever the hell it wants. The DPI will change on its own. And no, it's not like oh, I forgot one of my profiles. It's changed the DPI. It actually goes back to whatever the default DPI is, which is really high, not the 800 that I use. So that sucks. The software has an issue as well with Windows Defender. So you have to disable Windows Defender if you make any changes to the mouse. As I mentioned before, the B11, the B12, the B13 buttons here, they're a little too firm for my taste. I use these for Windows functions. I mean, I'm really just completely utilizing this mouse, and I like using these buttons here, but they're a little too firm. So this one's set to delete. I'm using delete all the freaking time, and I'll actually notice a bit of fatigue from either in Windows deleting files or in an editor, a video editor like Sony Vegas. So I think in large part that covers everything that I wanted to talk about, at least for right now, about this mouse. I also have, I believe it's an Apex M800 SteelSeries keyboard that I bought. I'm really, torn with SteelSeries as a company right now because they have such great marketing and research and development. And a lot of their products I really like. I bought Amanda, the Rival 300 mouse. Is nice and light and a cool white mouse. It seems to fit her gaming setup over there, and you know, I got this keyboard for myself, and I haven't had any problems with those. It really seems like the issue is central around the Rival 500, but I've noticed some other threads where people have complained about similar issues with other Rival mice. But I mean, you know, all these support tickets seem like they're funneling to one help desk person, guy named Aaron. It just seems like it's their customer support department is really minimal. It's not really where their focus is, which is unfortunate. But I mean, if that's what it takes to get a mouse like this that is so different, so be it. But please, I mean, you got to stand. At some point, you have to fix this mouse. I don't know what it's going to take. Because it's taken as long as it has, I'm really kind of fearful of where it's going. I guess, like, it must be really difficult for them to find whatever solution. I thought it'd be a simple firmware update, but nothing yet, and it's been months. Something I will include actually in the description, hopefully, is some details, some links to some of the Reddit articles so you guys can stay updated, so you can see like how bad this really has gotten. No idea why it hasn't been covered more. But I'll include that. I'll include some of my personal experiences, and hopefully we can get SteelSeries attention, and you know, just let them know we love, you know, what they're doing. I mean, at least I really appreciate, you know, what they're doing in the products they're developing, but I really want to see them do better with their customer relations. This is really pretty bad. So I'm probably going to include some gameplay here of me using the mouse, maybe an Overwatch, Gears, hell, I don't know what. Just so you can kind of get an idea, see what it looks like when the buttons are being fully utilized. And yeah, just, you know, comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me. A lot of you guys will keep me updated on what mice you're looking at or different competitions. So let me know all that. And yeah, thanks again for watching. A brief heads up: I've been posting a lot to the Locksbox channel recently. Myoelectric, I'm really wanting to keep for more edited productions. Probably hardware reviews, that sort of stuff, and we of course are trying to get back into streaming again. So I'll try and keep you guys all updated on all that. But you know, stay with us here, and thanks for your continued support. See you guys.
Comply with our reasonable request.